Nestled between the Pacific Ocean and the Santa Cruz Mountains, Soquel offers a naturally beautiful blend of what makes Santa Cruz living so desirable, with its communal charm and accessibility to gorgeous beaches and hiking trails and a tight-knit community. Soquel is so charming. So stay tuned as we explore the pros and the cons of living in SoCal, California. I'm Shamika Fox, your Santa Cruz real estate expert, and if you find this video helpful, valuable, educational, entertaining, delightful, please hit that like and subscribe button. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, and every subscriber helps us reach that goal. If you are looking to purchase or sell a home in the Santa Cruz area, I would love to be your realtor of choice. And if you are considering buying or selling real estate outside of the area, hit me up in the form below and I will connect you with another fantastic realtor that can help you along the way. Okay, let's dive into the cost of living, the pros and cons of the cost of living right here in SoCal, California. The pros are that SoCal actually has a higher average median income than the national average, coming in at approximately $118,000 annually. There are many employment opportunities, and actually SoCal has a lower unemployment rate than the national average. The cons, however, are that there's a high cost of living. It's really expensive to live in SoCal. There's not a ton of properties that become available for sale. It's a really small area in Santa Cruz County. Therefore, there's limited inventory, which drives the cost of housing up. Currently, the median home value in SoCal is just under $1 million, coming in at $964,000. That is much higher than the national average. The average cost to rent a 2-bedroom home in the SoCal area is $3,250 a month. The cost of living index in SoCal comes in at 180%, which means that it's 80% higher than the national average for cost of living, not just for housing, but cost of living in its entirety for the SoCal area. In addition, there's a high demand. People really want to live in the SoCal area, so there's a high demand and there is limited inventory, and so this just perpetuates the high cost of living and the high cost of housing in SoCal. Let's talk about education, the pros and cons of education when living in SoCal. The pros are there's diverse school options for both public schools and private schools. I am just a realtor, so I'm not going to tell you where to send your kids to school. If you want to do the research, go online. I think that greatschools.org is a really fabulous resource for public school ratings, but always do your own research. Go visit the schools, talk to the teachers, talk to the administration. The public schools that are offered in SoCal are Main Street Elementary, Mountain Elementary, and Mountain Elementary is actually a small public school. It's up Old San Jose Way, and their classes are actually one class per grade. So if you're looking for a smaller public school option and you meet the criteria for that school district, check out Mountain School if you want a smaller school experience for your child. There's also Soquel Elementary and Soquel High School. For private schools, the area actually has a few different private school options. One private school that I just recently became aware of is called the Merit Academy. And the Merit Academy is really interesting because it actually has one-on-one ratios for teacher to student, which means that you get kind of like a direct tutor teaching you all of the different classes and courses that you need to take. Merit Academy also has a very high acceptance rate in Ivy League schools such as Yale, Stanford, Harvard, and then other top tier schools like UCLA, etc. So check out Merit Academy if you have a desire to send your child to a very academic school. And then the other private school for the area, and we talked about this one before, is Terra Redwood. And this school focuses a lot on outdoor education. The students are immersed in the environment, into nature. There's experiential learning through play and outdoor experiences. Another pro regarding education in the SoCal area is the academic performance. Schools such as Soquel Elementary as well as Mountain Elementary are recognized for their academic performance, ranking in the top 25% for public school ratings for performance. If you want to look into this statistic, check out schooldigger.com for more information. And Soquel High also ranks highly in schooldigger.com for performance, coming in at the top 20%. Cons are that there are actually limited school options. I just named off the public schools as well as the private schools. So there are options, but there's limited options. Again, because we're talking about a really small area. And so in comparison to a big city or a larger urban area, your school options are going to be fewer. And then another con is that the academic performance throughout the schools varies greatly. So while some schools perform very well for academia, other schools do not. Based on an article that I found in usnews.com, Soquel Elementary has lower proficiency rates in subjects like math and reading. The student to teacher ratio comes in at 20-1 versus something like that private school that I mentioned, Merit Academy, where it's one-on-one, and their math proficiency is 33% and reading proficiency is 42%. Also, transportation issues can be a con with regards to schooling. There's limited public transportation, and most schools in Santa Cruz County do not have a bus system. So a lot of the parents rely on carpooling, having to shuttle their children to school, and or once their kids have their own license, they can drive themselves. Quick commercial break. If you are finding this video and other videos that we produce entertaining, engaging, and educational, please hit that like and subscribe button. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. And every subscription helps us reach that goal. If you are thinking about buying or selling right here in the Santa Cruz area, I would love to be your realtor of choice. And if you are thinking about buying or selling anywhere outside of the Santa Cruz area, fill out the form below so that I can connect you with another amazing realtor. Okay, back to our previously scheduled program. Job opportunities. Let's talk about the pros and the cons of job opportunities in Soquel, California. Soquel's location or proximity to major job hubs is a pro. One thing that's really cool about living in Soquel, and I talk about this a lot when I have clients that are moving over to the area from the San Jose or Silicon Valley area, and they really are afraid of the commute because, let's face it, traffic issues are a concern and the commute is atrocious. But if you end up buying a home in Soquel, there's two ways in and there's two ways out that will get you to Silicon Valley and San Jose. You can take Highway 1 and cross over at 17, or you can go the back way and you can take Old San Jose Road and it will take you on to about the middle of Highway 17 at the summit. There's also a diverse employment opportunity in Soquel, including agriculture, including construction, including retail, including manufacturing, and of course services. So Soquel actually does have a diverse employment opportunity if you're looking for a job or job opportunities in Soquel. Cons of job opportunities in Soquel is that there is limited large-scale employers. Because it is such a small area in Santa Cruz, most of the employers tend to be smaller businesses, smaller companies, unless you decide to commute over the hill or go get a job somewhere else in Santa Cruz, such as Scotts Valley, which actually has pretty decent job opportunities if you wanted to work for a larger employer. Also, another con about job opportunities in Soquel is that it has a larger unemployment rate than the national average. Soquel stands at 8.1% for unemployment rate, and the national average stands at 6%. And then the last con for job opportunity is, again, that if you want to work outside of what is available in Soquel, you are most likely going to end up commuting, which means that there's going to be long to longer commute times. Should you decide to go work in Silicon Valley, or maybe you already work in Silicon Valley, just take that into consideration. You are going to be commuting. Moving right along to the pros and cons of crime in Soquel, California. Again, I always think that this is such an interesting topic to discuss, but it's important and it's relevant. But it's interesting because is there really a pro to crime? But there is a pro to crime if, one, the crime rate is lower than the national average, and two, if a majority of the crime are nonviolent crimes and crimes against property. Soquel has a lower violent crime rate than the national average, and the national average is 1 per 197. This is based on a study that was provided by neighborhoodscout.com. Another pro about crime in Soquel is the community perception. The community perception is that there is very little crime in Soquel. The community or the residents of Soquel feel safe, have always felt safe living there, and continue to feel safe living there. Cons with regards to crime in Soquel are that there's actually elevated rates of crime when it comes to property crime. So bike theft, burglary, break-ins of your car. So while violent crime rates are lower than the national average, property crime are higher than the national average, coming in at 1 per 110, where the national average is 1 per 143. Soquel's overall crime rate in comparison to the national average is 40 out of 100, meaning that it's safer than 40% of the nation and less safe than 60% of the nation. Of course, crime varies from neighborhood to neighborhood, so even though if you're living in Soquel and you're reviewing these crime rates, you should actually look more specifically into specific neighborhoods. For example, Soquel has a diverse housing option, so some properties that are way up in the Soquel hills might get hit less with crime than the Soquel properties that are right in downtown Soquel. Let's talk about the pros and cons of traffic in Soquel. The pro is, and I mentioned this before, if you are a commuter and you're commuting to the Silicon Valley area, there's 2 ways in and 2 ways out. So you can go Old San Jose Road and it will connect you at Summit, and Summit connects to Highway 17, or you can go Highway 1 and connect to Highway 17. That, I would say, is a really big plus, and a lot of my clients, again, who are commuting over to the Silicon Valley area in order to maintain their careers over there, opt to live in the Soquel area so that they can utilize Old San Jose Road as an alternative path instead of Highway 1. Another pro about the traffic in the Soquel area is there is Cruz 511, so you can log into that and you can see what the traffic patterns are doing before you decide to get in your car and drive somewhere. And that there are traffic cameras throughout Soquel monitoring the traffic daily, so that, again, you can log into 511, you can see what's happening before you decide to go anywhere. The cons of the traffic in the Soquel area are obviously that we have a lot of traffic. There's a lot of congestion, especially if you're driving up Old San Jose Road during the drop-off and pickup time for the high school. There's a lot of congestion that happens at that light right there. There's a lot of congestion. There's been road work happening on Highway 1 as well as the on-ramp, so that has caused a lot of additional traffic congestion. Hopefully they finish with the construction on the freeway and that on-ramp soon, so that hopefully that will alleviate some traffic a bit more in that area of Soquel. And then another con about living in Soquel with regards to traffic is there's limited public transportation. We do have buses. They do run regularly, but besides that, there's really limited public transportation. And to get to a bus stop, depending on where you live, again, if you live in the rural part of Soquel, up Old San Jose Road to get to a bus stop might be a bit of a hike to get there. Let's talk about the pros and the cons of the weather in Soquel. Now, I absolutely love it. It's a bit warmer in Soquel than other parts that are a bit closer to the ocean. You get less fog than other parts of Santa Cruz that are closer to the ocean. I would compare it to a mild Mediterranean climate, and it's a really great area. There's a lot of agriculture in that area. There's wineries. There are a lot of residential gardens that grow really wonderfully up there because of the mild climate, but also because it doesn't get a tremendous amount of fog. The cons with regards to the weather in Soquel are that it can get a significant amount of rainfall, and because of the location and because some of Soquel is rural, you can end up having more intense storms and a lot more erosion and landslides and land damage as a result to the intensity of the rainfall or these storms. Now let's talk about the pros and the cons about the geography of Soquel, California. Again, Soquel has a strategic location within the county of Santa Cruz. We've talked about how it has 2 ways in and out. If you want to go up Old San Jose Road, you can. If you want to go around and up Highway 1, you can. But it's only 75 miles to San Francisco. It offers exceptional proximity to other cities such as Monterey, such as San Jose, Santa Clara, etc. So whether you're looking for an outing or something fun to do, or whether you need proximity to be a consideration with regards to access to jobs and employment. Soquel is very strategically placed within Santa Cruz County. So those are things to consider if you're considering moving or living in the Soquel area. The other pros with regards to the geography of Soquel is it has natural beauty abounds. We're talking the Soquel Creek, which is lush and gorgeous and just absolutely stunning. If you've ever dined when Michael's on Main was opened on their back patio, you just see this water flowing and it's just very peaceful and very beautiful. And then also Soquel, even though there is a bit of elevation, it's only 33 feet above sea level. So you will get less fog, like I mentioned, than those areas that are closer right on the ocean. But the 33 feet above sea level is not too high, so you're not going to have a tremendous amount of elevation, but it is still going to give you a bit more sun and a bit more warmth than other more coastal regions of the Santa Cruz area. The cons with regards to the geography are, again, there are areas in Soquel that are a bit more rural, they're a bit more country, they have more land, they have more mountainous regions than the flat city of Santa Cruz. And so when we have major storms, these areas can be more prone to flooding, more prone to landslides, more prone to debris in the road. And when we had our atmospheric river storms for the last couple of years, we even saw one of the bridges collapse, and people who lived up in the Cherryville area were having a hard time getting out from their properties to get into town or to leave their property. The bridge had just completely collapsed. It had washed away. They did fix it pretty quickly, but I can imagine that that would probably be pretty scary if you're kind of trapped at your property and you can't leave and you don't know when you're going to be able to. Another con with regards to the geography of living in Soquel is that expansion space is limited. Encircled by natural features and neighboring communities, Soquel has limited room for expansion, which can influence housing availability and urban development. And then in addition, there are environmental regulations. There's strict environmental protections. Due to the town's location near sensitive ecosystems may limit certain types of development and land use. Pros and cons with regards to entertainment in Soquel. The proximity is great when it comes to access to other areas. So you can go to downtown Santa Cruz, you can get to the Capitola Village. There are really fun things to do with regards to entertainment in Soquel if you're looking to shop for antiques or walk around or hike or go to the wineries. But if you are looking for like a large venue where you want to go and experience a fun nightlife, the con would be that there is not a very diverse opportunity to go out and have live music. There's not a big venues. It's just a much more quaint and tiny area. So the diversity of entertainment in Soquel is small. If you are enjoying what you're watching today, please hit that like and subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, and every subscription helps us reach that goal. I appreciate it. And now back to the previously scheduled program. Let's talk about the pros and cons of lifestyle. The pros are that Soquel has a really perfect blend or mix between both rural and urban. There's a very sweet downtown Soquel area with shopping, with dining, with schools. And then there's also in the Soquel Hills, you get a bit more of a country feel. So you get more privacy, you get bigger parcels, you get more exposure to the natural beauty that is Soquel. Cons with regards to lifestyle, because it is such a small community, there's limited nightlife, limited access to things like medical, diversity in education, diversity in entertainment, diversity in dining, things like that. It has a very small town feel, so you get less options when it comes to choosing what you want to do or how you want to experience your lifestyle right there in Soquel. And lastly, let's talk about the unique features and the pros and cons with regards to the unique features of Soquel. The pros are that it has rich historical heritage. Soquel's history dates back to the Ohlone Native American tribe, with the name Soquel derived from S-O-K-E-L. The town has evolved through various historical phases, including significant logging activities in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Another unique feature about Soquel, and I mentioned this before, is that its geographic location offers exceptional proximity to both the ocean as well as the mountains. So you can be hiking and mountain biking in the mountains and then you can end your afternoon at the beach with an evening swim or a bonfire. So that's really cool that you can really take advantage of what Santa Cruz has to offer as far as lifestyle goes right there in Soquel. The proximity to those resources is phenomenal. Another pro in the unique features category is even though there's not a ton of diversity or options as far as entertainment goes, Soquel does tend to host various events in the Soquel Village. So there's wine tasting, there's antiquing, there is street fairs where they'll close off the street and they'll have different vendors come and sell their different products right there. So even though there's not a huge diversity because of the smallness in nature, there is still things to do right there in Soquel, and they're really fun. The cons of the uniqueness of living in Soquel, because of its smallness in nature, there is limited diversity as far as shopping and dining goes. And because of its smallness in nature, there is limited nightlife and entertainment options. And again, due to its smallness in nature, which I think is very charming, but a con is that it has a higher unemployment rate because there's not a ton of job opportunities. And another con about the unique features in Soquel is there are concerns about the future development of the area and how that will impact both traffic congestion, housing opportunities, as well as its local resources. So those are the pros and cons about living in Soquel, California. From its scenic landscape to its great geographic location to the beautiful weather and access to other areas both in and outside of Santa Cruz, I would say that Soquel is one of the highlighted communities that makes Santa Cruz unique and wonderful to live in. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I hope you found this video helpful, entertaining, educational, and delightful. If you would please hit that like and subscribe button so that you can stay tuned for future videos that we produce, I would super appreciate it. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, and every time you hit that subscribe button, it helps us reach that goal. If you are looking to buy and or sell in the Santa Cruz area, I would love to be your realtor of choice. Please feel free to reach out to me. And if you're looking to buy or sell in any area outside of Santa Cruz, you can fill out the form in my YouTube description and I will connect you with another phenomenal realtor to take care of all of your housing needs. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time.